What's up, everybody? On this episode of the Texas Tennessee podcast, we have Zac Wilkerson. But before we get to all that, I want to give a shout out to our sponsor, the Rowdy brand. Well, the link will be in the description down below the video. Also, if you haven't subbed or liked or follow wherever you listen to this thing, please make sure you do. Hit that sub button, give us a thumbs up, go comment. It just helps the podcast and helps the artists that come on here. So, yeah. Hope you like the interview. Here we go.
She was the preacher's daughter, small town celebrity. Remembered all he taught.
Welcome in, Zac. Good to have you.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Absolutely, everybody. This is Zac Wilkerson. Soul is going to work on a few things while we get started, but we're gonna bother you for about an hour. Hopefully, maybe hear a couple of your tunes and get to know you a little bit better. So,
awesome.
Zac, if you could, for maybe those that aren't super familiar with you or your music, would you mind maybe just giving us a little bit about your story?
Yeah. Let's see. How far back you want me to go?
Up to you.
I started singing in church when I was 4. Music was just something that pretty much naturally. It was something I never really thought about. I just did it all the time, and I worked in a church until 2012 doing church music, kind of rock and roll church type. And then, but I started writing songs in 1992 when I was 12, and I just kind of did it. I don't know, kind of in secret. I didn't really show anybody. I think actually, and part of the reason is I showed a couple people a few of my very first song, and didn't really get the reaction I was kind of hoping for. So it made me like, all right, it made me hold on to them, hold my cards a little bit closer to my chest after a while. But I just kept writing because I just loved it. I always thought it was a cool kind of an art form. There's so much you can do in 3 or 4 minutes with just some words and some cool chord changes. You can take people places. So I was always drawn to that. And then, I was working at the church full time, leading worship like 5 times a week. I had this bass player who was in a cover band outside, and he was playing like the Golden Light and stuff like that in Amarillo, And they had this 4th of July show, and really needed lead guitar player. Their little cover band's lead guitar player was out for 4th of July, and so he kind of said, "Man, that's a weird request, but you come play in our country cover band." Sure, So honestly, that little cover band was where I got introduced to a lot of like Texas Red Dirt, that kind of stuff. We played some Mickey and the Motor Cars. We played Reckless Kelly. We played, but then we also played stuff like Tom Petty. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So they gave me the set, and of course I learned that and stuff. And I showed up. It was funny because I showed up really prepared, and they were all very surprised by it. They weren't used to like the bar guys having all their stuff. So I showed up prepared, and then I also sang background vocals for the band. And then after that 4th of July show, they were like, "Listen, I know you've got this church, but do you want to keep playing with us?" And I talked to the boss at the church, and they were totally cool. What I'd found out was they thought to ask me because one of the other guys who worked for our church sometimes sat in the cover band. And he told him about me, so I was like, okay. So it was cool. I started doing that for a little bit. And it's all kind of crazy how that guy, Nancy Burnson, still one of my favorite people on the planet, dude. He still plays in Amarillo and stuff. But we had some conversation about, just how much I nerded out and stuff like that. And Chancey's a writer as well, And so we talked about it, but he never really heard my songs. And then one night we were playing the Golden Light, and he turns to me, or he stops the show and he says to the crowd, "Hey, we got a special treat for you. My friend Zac Wilkerson is going to play his original songs." And he hands me. I remember he had just bought I think he bought a J45, right? And he was pretty excited about it. And I remember he handed me that guitar, and he walked off stage. I was like, what the flip? And I turned to like look at the band to like maybe get some backup. Like the drummer's already at the bar, you know. Like,
Right.
and so I was like, okay. So like I awkwardly take off the electric guitar holding while I'm still holding a J45, and then I played two of my songs. And to be honest with you, I'm not even sure which two I played. And then after I played those two, Chancey kind of was making his way towards the stage. The crowd kind of like, they didn't boo him, but they kind of like shoot him off. Like, hold on, let him play one more. So I ended up playing 3 songs. And then the band came up and we finished the show. And it was just kind of a funny thing. I asked Chancey at the end, and what was that? Like, you gave me literally no heads up.
Right.
And then I even laughed. I said, dude, what if the song stuck and you didn't even know? Like, what if it was totally bad? But he said, dude, I had to eat so I couldn't post.
Priorities.
so he just took a break. And in the crowd was this another friend of mine named Casey Berry, who's another Amarillo guy. And Casey approached me afterwards, and he said, "So you wrote all those songs, you know?" I said, "Yeah." Did you got more songs? I said, "Yeah, I got a lot of songs." He's like, "What do you mean?" I was like, "I've been writing for like 20 years, you know, even at that point." And he goes, "Oh, okay. We play your songs some more." And I said, and I honestly told him, I was like, you know, I don't know, because I was kind of thinking about, I don't know, it was safe side man cover band, but if I was to like really go out and try to pursue my own thing, whatever, I don't know, that might put me with that church job. It was a pretty great job, you know. I was a pastor for over a decade, and so in that part of the world, I gained some, I don't know, some respect, and so I was getting a lot of opportunities there, and I thought, man, I don't know, you know, how do you jump this? And so a few other bands in town asked me to come and jam with them and stuff, so I did, you know, and it was mostly all cover bands. Chancey's songs were really the only songs, originals that weren't mine, that I was kind of playing, you know. But I just kind of hopped around for a few months because I got introduced to all these people, you know, and, you know, musicians, when we find someone we, you know, if they're a good hang, and if they're actually bringing something musical to the table, that's pretty much the, you know what I mean? It's, oh, you play guitar? Cool. Like, cool. Where do you play? All this stuff. Anyway, so I start meeting these guys, and then one night, Casey Berry calls me, and he says, "Hey, I got this deal. There's this songwriters open mic in Lubbock at the Blue Light," and he says, "It's no pressure. You know, you just put your name on the list and just play a couple of your songs. Like, it's really no big deal." He's like, "I just want you to kind of get into the community of songwriters and stuff." I'm like, "That's cool, you know." And so, but he's kind of vague about it. He's kind of vague about the whole thing. And so, but he finally talked me into it, because he said, "I'll drive you down there. I'll buy all your beer and pay your breakfast." And I was like, "I'm in. Let's go," you know. So we drove down there, and the whole way I kept asking him, like, "So tell me more about this. Like, what is this?" You know. It's like, "Oh, it's just an open mic, no pressure, no big deal." But he keeps saying those two phrases: "No pressure, no big deal." And I get there, and it is one of the last qualifying rounds for the Blue Light Live Songwriter Contest. And I like look at him, and he's like, "Sorry, dude. Sorry, I just had to get you down here." And I walk in, and my name's already on the list and stuff, because he called ahead. Casey had won that contest a couple years prior, right? And that year that I entered in 2011 was the last year that, like, when you win, the prize was to play at Larry Joe Taylor's.
Yep.
And so I won in November of 2011, and then I played an acoustic set at Larry Joe's April 2012, and then I quit my last job September 2012, and I've been hitting the road and writing songs since then. You know, it's
Absolutely.
kind of nuts. Like, it really, seriously, in just 5-6 months, it got to the point where I really had to make the decision which road was I going to chase. And you know, at the time, my baby, I've got 3 kids. They're 16, 18, and 20. Oh gosh, no, they just had birthdays. They're 17, 19, and about to be 21. Dang it. But at the time, they were little bitty, you know. That was 12 years ago. And so I really I was leaning towards not pursuing this stuff, you know. And because what's funny is at the very same time, last church I was at, the senior pastor, he offered me the senior worship pastor's job along with salary and budget and all this, right? Like, I literally came to a crossroads where I was forced to choose which fork am I gonna follow. And I was leaning towards taking the security job,
Sure.
because it was salary, man. It was like, you just get this salary. There was like a car stipend. There was like a gear stipend. Like, it was a sweet deal. Like, you know, there's
Right.
sometimes I'm driving home from the show and I'm like, man, I should have took that job. But I was kind of leaning that way. My wife and I, we really talked about it, and she basically just said, "You're crazy if you don't chase this. This is getting to the point where, like, there's actually something there, you know." And she was kind of the very first person to ever say, you know, this isn't. She's like, well, we kind of look at it this way. This is a crazy, stupid dream, but it can still happen. You know what I mean? Like, because
Yeah.
I grew up, from, you know, manual labor people, right? You know what I mean? Like, I grew up on a farm in Oklahoma and moved to Nebraska and worked in a feedlot. Like, I kind of assumed if I didn't figure out something cool, it was going to be like building fences and, you know, feeding cattle for the rest of my life. That was
Also important jobs, but yeah, you're right.
I mean, my mom and dad still run cattle in Southwest Oklahoma, so I'm not even bagging that. Like, that was just where I thought that was the path, you know.
Right.
And then, just kind of crazy, just chasing these songs a little bit, and then crazy things happen. You know?
Well, shout out to Chancey and Casey for putting you in that position, because we wouldn't have you here if it wasn't for them. So shout out to those guys.
For sure.
I know I wanted to talk a little bit about Song Club and sequestered songwriters.
Yeah.
Maybe for those of us that maybe not super familiar, can you tell us a little bit about those organizations?
Yeah. First, Sequestered Songwriters is a nonprofit, and it really came about because during COVID, a lot of people weren't getting out, shows weren't happening, and but during that time, I believe it was Merle Haggard passed, and a few of my friends, Matt Hillier, Courtney Patton, Jason Eady, they just had the idea to do kind of a digital song pool, which, if people don't know what a song pool is, it's really literally just people sit in a circle and everybody sings a song, and you just go around the circle and everybody brings a song to the circle, right? And what we were trying to do was really tribute those founding fathers of ours. And so the idea was to just have a kind of a hag off. I don't know if you guys have ever been part of a hag off. Jason Eady, as far as our part of the music business, like the world champion hag off, like people sit around and you play Haggard songs until someone runs out, and then Jason plays for about another hour. You know what
Right.
I mean? Like,
For sure.
what's crazy is like every time we do that, he plays another Haggard song that I like haven't heard or can't play. So like, what really?
Yeah.
But anyway, so that's kind of where it started, and then we decided to do it kind of every week. I think I got in on the third week, which was 420, Willie's birthday, and everybody was like, I'm a huge Willie Nelson fan, and so Courtney and Matt and Jason, being the beautiful friends they are, they're like, "Come on, you got to get in." And from there, it just kind of snowballed, and in just a few weeks, we were having 20, 30,000 people tuned in to the thing, and then it started going crazy, even more than that. And people were wanting to send money because they knew that all of us were, kind of out of work at the time, and we were doing this because this is how we hang out. This is how we, spend our time when we're together. It's just song pulls, but people wanted to send money to us, and none of us really felt comfortable like trying to profit off that thing, because it really was like a totally genuine, we're just friends and we miss each other type thing. So then they came up with the idea of the nonprofit, and then so what Sequestered Songwriters does, during the stream, people would donate. We did a few live retreats where people would buy tickets and people would donate, stream and stuff. But then all that money, you would just donate it. Well, I wouldn't say donate it, but we basically covered musicians' medical bills, made some ends meet. We there were just some things like I know there was one musician who had a bad situation, and it was the middle of winter and they needed their heater fixed or something like that. I don't even know all the details. I know that we just made sure that all those dollars went to trying to help other musicians. So that was really the whole goal of it, and it's really been amazing. We would pick a different artist every week. Everybody in the group would sing one of that artist's songs. It's a great way to learn more about artists I didn't really know that much about. I became a huge Paul Simon fan during Sequestered Songwriters. But it really just was a music study where everybody had to learn a song and then try to perform it, but really with the intent of just trying to give people entertainment, even though we couldn't get to them,
Yeah.
And then we went to school. So
it was, at least from a fan's perspective, it was an incredibly cool, organic thing. Once I figured out how to get from one space to the next person, I think was it on Facebook?
Yeah, we did it on Facebook Live. We used to jump. We used to bounce. And then for a while, we towards the end, we got smart enough to where we just did a giant sequential upload, so nobody had to bounce, and we just had to stay on the Western page. Those first 2 weeks were an adventure. Those first few weeks were an adventure, like because everybody had like a order of show, and so you were kind of like, he's next, right? Because you're on the order of show, you gotta know what it's your turn. And it was a lot of fun, man. I kind of miss getting in the practice of that. I've not always been one to learn a lot of other people's songs. I'm kind of stuck trying to figure out my own songs, But learning other people's songs was such a great. It was a great song school, I would encourage any musician to be trying to build some chops, maybe stretch their legs a little bit, like do something crazy where find a random artist, one of these classic forefathers and foremothers of ours that maybe you wouldn't necessarily be drawn, and pick one of their songs and learn it and learn the history. Wikipedia's incredible. One thing I always try to incorporate with a little bit of a history lesson in my stuff, really nerd out about what did they write, why, who was involved in recording, all those cool things. because there's so many little just gems of like music trivia and those little history, you know. But I would really encourage any musician who's trying to kind of maybe bust through to some different stuff. Like, man, when I learned Dolly Parton's "Toaster Woman." That was the song I got. You know what I mean? Stuff like that's a great learning experience. It's totally outside my box, but I learned so much from it, and you can learn a lot just by studying songs, you know.
Yeah.
So what was crazy was that was going on at the same time that I was doing Song Club, which is, for people who don't know what that is, that's a group of 12 or 13 songwriters. The when I first started it in October, gosh, I think that was 20 when I started. We only had 10, and then we expanded it to some more. But the whole idea is you get a prompt via email on Thursday, and then you can use the prompt. You don't have to. It's the seed to get you started. But you got to reply all Wednesday by midnight with your lyrics typed out and your song recorded to a demo. And so it kind of becomes this peer review process, you know, where you're I don't know, you're like writing a song, but you also know like 12 bad actors are gonna listen to it. So it's like, are you actually gonna put it together, or are you just gonna throw something in, you know?
Right.
So we definitely had kind of there was this idea of stay in songs, right? And the phrase kind of started popping up where people were laughing and say, just stay in, sucker. You know, like, just write something. The rules were you had to have no co-write, so it's got to be a solo write. You need 2 verses and a chorus, right? Then, like I said, you got to make a recording. So it's not super difficult. You know, if you really think about that, that's only like 12 lines, right? One thing Walt Wilkins said to me one time was 2 lines a day song. If you think about that, first 4 lines is a verse, second 4 lines is a verse. You got 4 more lines for a chorus and 2 more lines for a bridge.
Yep.
That's a whole song. And so it's not like it's a lot of work technically. What really gets hard is after that first maybe 6 weeks, you kind of write through actual stuff, like the surface, you know? It's stuff that's like floating on top of the pot. You know, the mom, whatever. Like after you've done through that enough, you start getting down to stuff that's like, oh, I'm gonna have to think about this in a new way because I've already said this. I've used this phrase. So you have to start trying a lot of different things, but also, like you have to start. How do I say this? Like you use up your toolbox. You got to find new tools.
Sure. And are there, Zach, are there any songs that you're comfortable sharing that have come out of that experience? That
Pretty much all of Mud and Sunshine was Song Club.
Oh, okay.
The entire record.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Nice.
So in that 2 years, I wrote 130 songs. Because towards the end, John Grossman from Uncle Lucius, he's still in the club, I think. He was in another club writing a song a week, so he's writing 2 a week. And one week when I was out on tour, I think I was out on tour with I think I was out with Jesse Dayton, and I was still writing while we were just on the road, hotel every day, you know. And we were on the highway, and one started coming to me, so I would type up everything in my note app. And as I was typing that, like another song started happening at the same time. And so I wrote this song stanza by stanza. So I wrote the first chorus of the first song, And then the first chorus of the second song happened. Two completely different songs, you know. And so then I thought, well, that was kind of fun, you know. So I turned in two songs because I thought, oh, you know, that's kind of neat to be able to do. And so then Johnny immediately texted me and he said, "Did you turn in two songs?" I said, "Yeah." And he goes, "Well, I'm in another song club. Why don't you join that one too?" I was like, "Okay." So like for the last months, I was writing two a week, and yeah, I mean, like I said, I've got 130 songs in the demo folder right now. I've got the next four. I mean, after Mud and Sunshine, I've got the next four projects. You know, kind of in the early pre-production stages. They're all because of the club. You know, they're all demoed, and they're all the lyrics are on. We got lyric sheets for every one of them. So, uh, really, at this point, just a process of putting them in the appropriate pocket. You know, kind of like I did with Mud and Sunshine. You know, I clumped those 10 rock songs together. Then we got the songwriter songs, and then we got, you know, the cowboy songs. And that's kind of the idea. I really think I'm going to keep doing that. Maybe songs that are better grouped together. My first records, they're they're kind of all over the place. You know what I mean? Like they take a lot of jumps. You know, go from soul to like real dirty blues rock, then to a straight up country song. You know, so I think maybe in the future, what I'll do is try to group them a little more intentionally, right?
Yeah,
Uh,
makes sense.
I've got a soul record already. Uh, that's the next one I'm gonna do, and then I really like this idea of releasing double albums. Um, I don't know. I just love that idea. And what really me about it is I want to make a double album where the two records don't sound anything alike, which I really try to do that in Sunshine. We
Yeah.
were for some stark. I even had different players on the parts of it. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like the last 10. Actually, it's the last. Let's see, 12 tracks. I guess I should say. Oh, I'm actually thinking of the vinyl. There's a hidden track. I put that Paul. I put a Paul Simon song. The track.
Nice.
I haven't looked it anywhere, but it's not online. It's only on the vinyl. But so like half of it was, you know, John Grossman again from Uncle Lucius, Cody Braun from Reckless Kelly, and we went in. I took just those two guys in by myself with an acoustic guitar. Really wanted to change even the methodology of how I was making the two records. So I went in with just an acoustic guitar. I just told those guys, like, listen, I'm just playing rhythm. I'm not taking any leads. I'm literally just going to be strumming chords for the most part, and I want you guys to fill up all the rest of the melodic. But then we did everything to a click, so we still have the pocket. But I didn't want that half of the record to be rhythm based, which is what I automatically revert to. If I give myself a box to stay in, I'll automatically just slide into like a groove record. But I took that kind of option away. John and I had a motor. He helped with that mud hat. He did some kind of producing. Definitely had some cool ideas. You know, engineered. Casey Johns engineered on it. Who's the head engineer at Yellow Dog? And then we had Dave Percival mixed it, the mud half. And then after we did that, I had the drum and the bass come in and add the rhythm after we basically were finished with everything.
Yeah, makes sense.
I wanted it there to carry it, not so much to carry it away. But then on the Sunshine, I did that like I always like. I had 3 amplifiers, you know, room with like 7 mics, and then we all just stood in the room and 1, 2, 3, 4, just crash it out, you know.
Nice.
So but I think doing it that way, very different feels for those projects, you know. And it was very intentional, and I really like the idea of that. Like the next record I want to release, you're not supposed to talk about what you finished. Like the next record I want to release is going to definitely be, you know, the first half is going to be one thing, and the second half is going to be totally unrelated.
I think that's cool.
Well, I like to get it. I like to get it to the point where, and this has happened a few times that I've got experience, where people go, wait, that's the same guy. I love that. Like when people hear Poor and Blues, right? But then they hear, you know, something like Love Rescue Team, you know, you hear Demons, but then you also hear like those, like all of those things can exist at the same time. Some people get freaked out because they want the artist to be maybe predictable word, right?
Right.
There's people that they just want to hear a country artist, right? There's people who they just want to hear a rock artist, you know, and there's nothing wrong with it at all. But I'm a firm believer in just kind of chasing whatever the universe gives me.
Yeah.
I don't know what the song is till it's done. So,
Right.
I think it's people in the business that don't know what to do with you. Like,
I think that's a big part of it.
Yeah.
Someone said to me, this was a long time. Like I think I was maybe in high school or something, and I had been playing guitar for a couple years, and kind of got invited to this jam or something. And one of these old men who was at this guitar jam said, that genres, their only purpose was so they know where to put your CD in the room. So that was it. Like none of the rest of it doesn't matter. They just got to know where to put you. And I know that there's a lot of industry people who kind of, well, I've had industry people straight up say it to me. We're just not sure what to do with you. You know, it's like, well, I know what to do. So.
No, that's cool. Well, was Waiting one of those songs that came out of the song group?
Yeah, actually, here, hold on. Let me.
Oh.
I'm trying to think if there's anything on here that wasn't a song club song. Peace of Mind, I think, was the only song on Mud and Sunshine that wasn't song club, and that was just kind of a riff jam that I had been farting with, but never really just solidified. But then through the process of kind of putting Mud and Sunshine together, you know, it kind of bubbled back up to the top. So
Nice.
Sometimes it happens like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, since we're halfway, Soule, would that be a good time to give Waiting a listen for everybody?
I was picking up where you were laying down, so here you go.
Right, nice.
You don't have. There's not much waiting.
Like we're brothers.
You left New York 9 days late. Oh, you made me worry, you made me wait. So I went down by San Antone, and I took an old friend from on the road. Baby, I've been waiting, I've been waiting. When you coming home? Baby, I've been waiting, I've been waiting. When you coming home? Oh,
stuff.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
I was curious. You were talking about as far as making your albums,
Yeah.
and grouping your songs together depending on what album it is and things like that. What about your live show? How do you? Because if you're gonna have all these different styles and these different flavor albums and all that, when it comes to your live show, how much? I guess kind of. How do you put together a set list?
We play it
Well,
all, you know.
yeah,
Uh, what's funny is that my fans, they tell me that that's one of the things they love is how it's
that's
all over the
cool.
place. They love that it's not uh, the kind of same thing every song, you know. They uh, and a lot of times, I think Talbo's been there. Like in my solo shows, um, I know that there's some artists that they really don't want requests that they've got a set list and they're just going to play what they want to play. I mean, to an extent, when I'm thinking about any given show, depending on the venue, a lot of times, I mean, depending on like what's going on in the world, you know, if something is big enough that people all over the world might be a little bit down about it or whatever, that's something that's on my mind. But for the most part, I really like to just I want to know what the fans want to hear, and so my solo shows, I'll play one or two to get the show going and say shout it out and I'll play it. Like that's why I came here to play songs for you. Like why not? Let's cut out the middle, guy. Figure it out. You know what do you want? So yeah, we play all of that stuff.
Yeah, so full band, same way. I mean, I'm sure you have to be a little more organized,
Mm-hmm.
but
Well,
you still know what they know, what they
yeah,
can pull out.
yeah. You know, it's funny. Most of the time I play with a trio,
Mm,
just a drummer and a bass player, and I play electric guitar. Every once in a while, when I'm really fortunate, I'll get John Grossman to come sit in with me. So we've got all the keys and stuff. But those three guys, uh, they know everything about every one of my songs, you know.
that's cool.
And so if a fan says, "Hey, play this," you know, I might go, "You got that?" Yeah, yeah, we got you. Boom, we'll play it, you know.
That's cool.
And I really like to keep it that way. For me, man, I've only ever been to one other show that was like that, and I remember watching that happen and going, that's what I want to be. That
That's cool.
and it was Paul Wilkinson.
Because
And
it's
people would, you know, he'd play a couple songs and someone would say, "Hey, play poetry." And he's like, "Oh, absolutely, man, thank you," and start playing it. I remember how much that struck me. You know, was just that open communication between the stage and the audience. Like that's
especially when it's not the obvious songs. When
yeah,
it's yeah.
yeah, maybe a kind of a B side or however you want to think of it.
Mm-hmm.
That's really that's cool for me. You know what I mean? When there's
Yeah.
songs, maybe not one of my pop says, "Are you going to play this tonight?" I am now. You know?
So
That's cool.
what would be one of your I guess give us what you think is your most popular song, and then another one that uh, folks should actually dig back and check out. I know they need to check out all of them,
Yeah.
but what's one that's a little bit might be a little bit more special?
Let's see. Well, Poor Man Blues. That's like numbers wise. That's the one that's. I think it's. I don't know. I don't look at that.
No, I understand.
I think it's creeping up on 3 million streams or whatever, which isn't a lot, but
That's great.
kind of have a song like that. Uh, that numbers wise, that's the biggest one. Um, one song that it gets asked for every single show, either in the middle of the set or people make a point to come and ask me before the show. Because I mean, I like to have venues with my people, so I try not to like have people to, if I get there with everybody, just hanging out with everybody,
All right.
then I just go play. But people will come up and Love Rescued Me all the time.
Hmm.
I mean, probably every single show, Love Rescued Me, and one song that I've always been surprised is Pieces. People really, there's a lot of people who really connect to that song, which was a huge surprise to me. But
Got you. I think the one that, of course, Talbo's ever, he's able to go to your shows and stuff, and I'm stuck over here in West Tennessee. But I think the one that came across, that got me listening to your music a long time ago was Middle of the Night. I think that's the one that I don't know if it's. I don't know. I still don't know how I found this. How it got me there. It may have actually been sequestered because I watched all that stuff too, which I thought was great. By the way, how some artists would put some of you guys in a weird spot to have to navigate through. You know what I mean? Like put Cody Jinks singing a Judd song or some, whatever the case would be. You know what I mean? Which was, it didn't seem near as awkward for Courtney to sing Tom Petty as it was for, you know what I mean, other guys. And you could tell the ones that were used to covering songs and the ones that strictly do originals, which was cool to, like you said, break out of those boxes, especially during that time.
Yeah, I think we all really needed it. What's funny is that there was a text thread start when we started that thing, and it still every once in a while pops up. The whole group will, my phone will explode. Like I'll look at my phone for 10 minutes and then I'll go back. You have 34 missed texts. I'm like, oh crap, what happened? And it happens every time one of our heroes, like when Christopherson passed this week, dude, Question Songwriters lit up. Everybody's talking about, man, I love this song, and people were talking about what songs they were going to play that night at their show. The community of it is such a big deal. I think what's really unique is there was a kind of a Nashville artist. I'd say like a Nashville legacy that came out to one of the festivals that all of us play. And this artist came up to one of the tweet parties afterwards, end of the night. And of course, everybody was in there. All the artists were in the room doing a song pool and hanging out and joking and having fun and genuinely enjoying each other's music. And this Nashville big name artist, I don't want to say their name, I personally, it was relayed to me, but this didn't happen in Nashville. Like it would take 6 months of lawyers and managers to get this many Nashville artists in the same room, and you guys just do it. Like, yeah, right. we act like it, but we genuinely enjoy the company. So it's a very unique community we have. I'm incredibly honored to be part of it, a small part of it, especially since a lot of my musical heroes have now become, peers and friends. So I'll always be a fan first.
So Talbo, I'll ask one more, then you can ask one.
Sure.
So way back at the beginning of all this, I know you were doing a lot of covers of the Red Dirt stuff.
Yeah.
But when you finally kind of got in that circle?
Yeah.
I guess how was that, and who were some of the folks that you found yourself, in that circle with at the beginning?
Well, man, it was kind of a transition because I was in those bands, and it was just kind of people needing help. You know what I mean? They just need a guitar player or a singer or back
right.
singer. But then I did that for a while, and I just decided, man, I want to do my songs. Right. So when I was playing shows under my name, I just immediately started only doing originals. I just decided, I'm going to rip the Band-Aid off. We're going to let people get used to me hearing covers. And, I know it kind of slows certain types of progress down, especially in markets when you're just trying to get work. Like nobody knows who you are, which is like. But I just kind of decided I'm going to do that from the and then a few years later, there's a guy named Nick Rizzosa. I don't know if you guys know him. He was from Fort Worth, incredible songwriter. Had a kind of full-time song career for several years. But he played at Golden Light one night. And Craig Vaughn, who's the DJ up in Amarillo, who's just one of the coolest dudes and one of the biggest champions for Red Dirt and Texas, Indie Americana, however you want to say it. Craig said, "Hey, man, Nick's playing tonight. I think he'd be a cool guy for you to know. And you guys, both have kind of the same conversational, songwriting style or whatever." So I went up to, I knew who Nick was. I'd heard some of his songs. So I went up to Golden Light, and I really like to pick his brain. I just want to try this stuff. I don't really know where to start. Can I buy you breakfast? So I bought him breakfast at IHOP. And we became friends after that. And then a few months later, we'd done a couple things together. He called me, "Hey, I want you to go to this festival in Colorado with me." And so he took me to Music Fest. He got a ticket for me. And then he had a little solo tour that he had scheduled up and back with the week of the festival in between. And he just put me on all those shows. Nick did. And so we played on the way up. And then the big thing was playing open mic at Music Fest. And so I played that 2 years ago and really just kind of crashed. But through that, Nick introduced me to Walt Wilkins. And what's kind of interesting about Walt, I won that songwriting contest and I was playing at Lego. I was asking all that community musicians that I just, because I was still learning about all these Red Dirt bands and stuff. I kind of lived under a rock, I'm really weird. I don't listen to music ever. Jimmy Webb, I'm sure you guys know who that is. He got a book called Tunesmith, and he talks about how songwriters don't listen to anything because we want everything to be, so we don't ever start music. So I was trying to learn all these bands, and the one name that kept coming, Wilkins. They're like, "You have to see Walt when you're there. You have to see." So I saw Walt set at Larry Joe's, and honestly, watching Walt play, I realized that I wanted to try this. I thought, man, if there's room for this in this scene, then I want in. I want in. And so through Nick, actually through my friend Courtney and my friend Larry, they all kind of got me to Walt. And I just, man, we started a friendship and started sharing my songs with him. And then he was really the first guy. When I made that first record in 2014, the EP, you're not supposed to do this when you're making a record. You're supposed to work in the studio and then rest at night. That's the rules. But Walt had shows every night. And he was, "Man, I really want you to come play these shows with me." I was like, "Let's do it." So every day he would work for 8 hours in the studio and then jump in his car all ass across Texas trying to get from Austin to Fredericksburg to make sound, And but we did that for a couple of weeks making that record. And he took me into his and introduced me to his people as, "Hey, this is Zach. He's a great songwriter. But listen to this." And that's the kind of handoff that you can really only. I entered the scene as I don't even like to say this, but almost as a peer of people like Walt and Courtney. I didn't really have. I hadn't really done enough I didn't think to really earn that spot. So I've always been very thankful to those people who just said, "Hey, I want my people to hear."
Yeah.
That's crazy. It still works that way. There's different levels. Um, and it's happened several times through my career where the right person says, "Hey, I need to hear you," and they help. That's one of the reasons I'm a big guy, a big proponent for like open mics. I hosted a songwriters open mic at the Light in Dallas for 16 months. People gave me a shot, so other, you know,
Mm-hmm.
it's the right thing to do, I think. But anyway, like people like Walt and Courtney and Larry, Nancy, Nick, those people all going, no, come here, try this, do.
Yeah.
Those people changed my entire life.
Yeah, that's cool, and that's what that I like sort of asking that question. One, I thought about it because you talking about that wouldn't happen in Nashville.
Yeah,
You were talking about something else, but that's still something that's probably not going to happen in Nashville.
yeah,
Not in the major circles, anyways.
yeah.
Um,
It's interesting. I keep getting kind of offers and invites to go out to Nashville and do some things out there, which I'm not really against any
right.
of. That's not what I'm trying to say, but uh, it's a much different process than it is. You
Right.
know, like if I want to make a record out in Nashville, there's a whole lot more steps than I would take. Because in Texas, it's like I've got a handful of studios I've worked with. If I wanted to hire a producer, which I hired a producer, I didn't hire a producer for Mud and Sunshine. Uh, like at this point, I just kind of know what I want, what I want it to sound like.
Right.
I know the process. Uh, got engineers and musicians, all that stuff out the wall too. Which all those things are there in Nashville, but it's not necessarily my community out there. But here, I can literally do it. Nothing is off the table here. Uh, you know, Mud and Sunshine was mastered at Abbey Road Studios in London. It's not like we're missing out on anything making records in Texas. We can still do all the things that all the big do.
Yeah.
And I don't know, man. I think there's definitely two different vibes. And
I could.
I'm not like, uh,
Yeah.
I'm not necessarily rooting for one or the other. It's just, this is the one I know, you know?
Yeah, makes
Understood.
sense.
Well, that's the one. That's the one that you got invited into.
Yeah.
I mean, and it doesn't just seem like. I mean, it's not just you. It's a lot of people that were working and writing the songs, pounding the pavement, pulling their weight. They seem
Yep.
to Texas guys from afar seem to let you in the circle if you're doing your part. So I mean,
And I'll be honest with you, man. I've been doing this 20 years. What I want to see from some new guy or whatever, a lot of young people who, uh, they were young when my first songs came out, kids. And so for them, in their mind, they think about me the way I think about Walt Wilkins. I think
yeah,
third.
Yep.
But I tell those kids is like what all of us want to see, what all of us oldies want to see. We just want to see you busting your butt. That's all.
yeah.
We want to see you getting out there playing as many shows as you can, make some cool stuff. I do that. Man, come on.
Man, it doesn't matter if it's in the songwriting musician world or in a blue collar electrical job like I got going on, man. It's the same thing.
It's all the
Uh,
same.
yeah. No, but Talbo, you wanna?
Well, my question was about Walt, so I
Okay.
will pivot. Big Walt fan. But that being said, I will pivot to. I need to hear the story about that sweet Stratocaster that you have.
Yeah, that's that. Her name is Harmony. That guitar is a Nash S67. It's a 2014, and Walt has Walt had a benefit that he did every 4th of July. At the time, it was at Luckenbach. It was called Live Free and Fly, and it benefited the Austin Harmony Project, which is a art and activities school for adults with developmental disabilities. And really what they do is they just, they teach these people how to, there's music therapy, art therapy, things like that. And obviously music is a huge part of it. But so that guitar was donated by Bill Nash of Nash Guitars to Live Free and Fly through a mutual friend of Bill's and Walt's. The guitar showed up to Walt's house the morning that we were recording the guitars on my first EP. And Walt's not really a guitar guy, but he thought, well, maybe I'll take it up to the studio. Maybe it's an option, maybe we can use it or whatever. So he brought it in there and opened the case, and I was just immediately smitten. Like, I immediately fell in love with this guitar. Like, I knew the story of it and everything, and I was like, the first thing I was thinking was, all right, I got to get some money together to bid on this guitar, And then I ended up playing my entire record on that red guitar. And then through the next, week or so, we would be recording like a keyboard part or something. And I would just be sitting in the control room holding the guitar. It's like, we're not working on guitars right now, Zach. I'm like, I know.
Not exactly.
I know. I'm just holding it, So I really fell in love with it. And, well, Walt being the magic person that he is, his people put the appropriate amount of money for the guitar towards the benefit, and Walt put the guitar in my hands. So it was a gift from him. And honestly, that whole process of getting to make a record with Walt, learned so much about playing shows. Man, if you sit on the stage and do some song swaps a few times, you're going to learn from that man. There's so much you can learn from just watching him do what he naturally does.
You bet.
And then just to kind of top it off with, he gave me that guitar, and it was almost like, all right, there's the last piece. Get after it, get to work. And that's what it's kind of always felt like. That guitar has it's got some weird mojo to it, man. Every time I let another guitar player touch it or play it, they're like, ooh, this is interesting. It's super heavy, which is, you don't expect it.
Right.
Like a super heavy old style guitar. It's one piece solid swamp bash body. And I actually have back from playing that heavy guitar for 12 years, but there's just not another guitar that does what.
It's a beautiful piece, no question. I think we have time enough to play. Hopefully, have time enough to play "Feed Like Cowboy," and then I know Soule has a finishing question he'd like to ask.
Okay.
Yeah, I was thinking like the Lord of the Rings ring, my precious. Like every time you let somebody else hold the guitar for a minute, you're like, give it back.
Nice.
All right, here we go. I think, yeah, there we go.
He's an old feedlot cowboy, how he dreams of the rain, riding the Chisholm through the unhindered plain, how he longs for the saddle and the pull of the rein, but he's driving John Deere down the south feeding lane. Blue in his denim shirt, faded with age, shit on his boots, fresh as green hay. He's still holding on to them long gone days, been fenced in so long, he can't find the gate. He's an old feedlot cowboy, how he dreams of the rain, riding chisel through the unhindered plain. How he longs for the saddle and the pull of the rein. Reading Louis L'Amour in the shop while it rains. The red on his cheeks like a kiss from the wind. The calloused old hands twisted and bent from driving a shovel. Quite what it meant when he dreamt of being a cowboy, but it almost pays the rent. He's an old feedlot cowboy, how he dreams of the rain. Riding the chisel through the unhindered plain. How he longs for the saddle and the pull of the rein. Not driving a John Deere down the south feeding lane. He's an old feedlot cowboy, how he dreams of the rain. Riding chisel through the unhindered plain. How he longs for the saddle and the pull of the rein. But he's driving a John Deere down the south feeding lane. How he longs for the saddle and the pull of the rein. But he'll clock out at sunset, humming Sweet Baby James.
So the is this you can hear the Willie influences there.
Yeah, for sure.
Was that intentional, or is it just kind of how the song came about, or was this just from being such a fan it just crept its way?
I don't think I've ever tried to write a song for Willie, but a lot of the times when I'm writing, specifically in that vein,
Right.
Willie just comes through, you know.
Yeah.
Like Redheaded Stranger.
That's the album that came to mind when I was listening to it. Yeah.
That album, like I wore that album out,
Gotcha.
you know. So, yeah, Willie's a huge. I take it as a huge compliment that people think they can hear some Willie there, you know.
Yeah, I got you.
Have you heard that album before?
Yeah, which one? The Redheaded Stranger one?
Yeah, Redheaded Strangers.
yeah, I've heard it before a couple times.
Yeah.
So one thing I'd like to point out to anybody that's going to listen to those three songs that we've played today, and they're different, but they're all on the same album, by the way, right? So everything that he's been talking about having these different flavors and everything. I just like to point that out, that they're all from the same album. So, all right. One thing I wanted to ask before we get to the special question, you pull out. I'm a big vinyl person, and Talbo we do a little vinyl thing where we play a record and we talk, give nuggets about it and whatever, right? And Redheaded Stranger was one of them, but you pulled out your vinyl over there.
Yeah.
And explain the feeling of making an album, and then when you get that vinyl back. I mean, I know you can listen through some speakers and in a studio and everything, but when you get it actually in your hands, even after all these years, how is that?
Well, it's the second vinyl I've made. I had made a vinyl for Evergreen. Man, I gotta tell you, career-wise, it's an interesting milestone. You know, the very first time I held one of my own vinyls in my hand, what I thought about was like the 13-year-old kid who's daydreaming about. The 13-year-old kid who was listening to Redheaded Stranger, listening to Sweet Baby James. You know, that's immediately what I felt like. I felt like that kid again, and the realization, you know, I'm now part of the songwriter chain. I'm in the group now. You know, whatever capacity, but it feels pretty crazy. You know, especially with Mud and Sunshine. For me, I know that one thing that I kind of get in the habit of is that I get so focused on the work that I don't really stop to take in the enjoyment. Because in my brain, it's not time to enjoy it yet because we're not done. Like we have, like, what's the next step? What's the next step?
Right.
You know, and for me, you know, I kind of run this whole show myself. I have a tour manager, but I own my record label. I own my publishing company. Right now, doing all my booking in-house just because I wanted to kind of curate it a little bit more. So for me, doing it kind of all by myself, I don't necessarily always have the time to lean back and go, "Oh, this is fun." Man, I'll be honest with you. When I got those first Mud Sunshine, read through those credits with my friends who were my heroes previously. You know, the whole record's mastered at Abbey Road. It's kind of like, well, I mean, I think I did it. You know what I mean? It's like, crap, I think I did it. And I don't know, it's really cool. You know, and then at the end, you really do kind of go, wow, we made something really beautiful and cool here. You know, and you're just proud of it, proud of all the people who helped you make it. You know, it's a huge compliment to me to have people like Cody, John, Rio Tripiano. He played guitar on They Found Each Other on that first song. You know, just having all those incredible musicians who are willing to come and lend their talent to my projects. It's a pretty cool feeling, man. But I always still just kind of revert back to that 13-year-old kid who daydreams, you know?
Yeah, I could see that where you would go, you know, of course it's a business move to have it to sell as merch or whatever, you know, but also, yeah, I'm sure there's a little bit of a personal thing there too. Like I like this is cool for me too.
It is.
Yeah.
It's a accomplishment, you know, and I'm very fortunate. One of my best friends in the world is a guy named Joe Fink, and Joe is one of the operations managers at Hand Drawn Pressing in Madison, and which I should get you guys on with Joe, man. Joe's got some incredible experience, and you know he presses everybody. He presses everybody from Eminem to Lady Gaga to Silverado. Like he does all of us. So, you know, it's one of those things like it never, the cool never wears off. You know what I mean?
No,
For sure.
Yeah, it's the same for us that buy them at the shows and stuff. I mean, we can listen to it on our phone all day, but you know, to hold it, look at it, and this is the same as it was, you know, back in the day. So, well, all right, man. Look, we appreciate the time. Anything else, Talbo, before?
No, just Zach, we appreciate you taking the time to hop in with us. We may require a second at some point because I know we have a few unanswered questions, but we'll get to them. So we really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Thanks, man.
All right, so the most important question of the night, it started as a joke, now it is a requirement that we ask. What is your favorite Little Debbie cake? I know this is serious stuff, so yeah.
Let's see. Dang. Well, I'll tell you this.
All right.
It's gonna take me a second. It's gonna take me a second to narrow it down. But I would say this: it's gonna have to be frozen. It's gonna have to go in the freezer, right?
Okay. Okay.
I ain't eating no for Little Debbie.
All
Okay.
right. So he's
Man.
not only a Little Debbie fan; he's a specialist too.
Well, listen.
So-
I mean, if you're gonna do it right, right? Come on. Why are we doing it halfway?
I got
Man,
you.
maybe I gotta say a Star Crunch, bro. Frozen Star Crunch. Come on. Are you kidding me?
It's popular.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good answer.
It's a great question.
Yeah.
Great question.
Appreciate it. We come up.
I hope you guys are doing like a tally. Like we need to. There needs to be.
I do have like a I don't know, like 15 shows or whatever of a recap, but I got a lot to add on to those 15 or whatever now. So
Like I'm visualizing a big scoreboard, you know, like Star. But then instead of just like tally marks, you could just put all of our just our faces.
just your face,
I
just
like
a
that
screenshot.
Yeah.
Okay, and I'll make sure the screenshot is looking ridiculous too.
Oh please. Get the worst middle of a guitar solo face you can find for everybody. Yeah.
the Stevie Ray Vaughan face.
Yeah.
I got you. All right, man. Yeah, and I'll send you the Little Debbie recap video that I have out there. So,
Great, yeah.
All right, Zach. We appreciate the time. I'm jealous of Talbo getting to go see you around the area. If you're ever in West Tennessee, I'm definitely catching a show.
Awesome.
But yeah, we'll definitely we'll look forward to having you on whenever you have anything going. If gotta say it every time. If you made it this far, make sure you follow all their socials, all of Zach's stuff. Engage in the post and like it, comment, share it. Hit the follow button wherever you stream your music, so that you know when they release new music. It helps everybody involved. I mean, that's what makes their world keep going around. So,
Sure.
Yes, sir. All right, and appreciate it.
Thank you, y'all. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.